How's it going, everybody? This is Mark, MVP Sports here. We're doing our previews for the NFL season. It feels like it's a little bit further away right now, but this is the best time to really analyze everything that's going on. We've had the draft, we've had the schedules come out. Now it's time, right as the start of OTAs are happening, to really talk about everything there is and what we can be excited for. Right now, we're going to be starting over NFC West, a very, very powerful division. I figure let's start at a team that in the NFC West not a lot of people are talking about. Let's start with the St. Louis Rams. This is a team that not too long ago, had a number one pick of a quarterback. They had this great rookie season for Sam Bradford. He did so many great things, showed so much promise, and since then has kind of been in the mediocre area of a lot of injuries have kind of affected his game. They have a very powerful defense. That defensive line is honestly the scariest defensive line in the NFL. And going out, even getting a guy, because he has to be mentioned in this video, like Michael Sam, even if he just plays a few downs every now and then, as a rotation, that is a terrifying defensive line. So the pass rush, very, very scary, and you need that going up against Kaepernick, going up against obviously Sam Bradford as well, and you're going to be playing some good teams as well. You have to play, RG3, Tony Romo. You got all these good teams you're going up against. You're going to go against the Chip Kelly offense, assuming that Nick Foles has as good of a showing as he did just last year. Plenty of big competition for this St. Louis Rams team. So honestly, I think the biggest fears for you Rams fans out there, if Sam Bradford gets hurt again, if he has another one of those mediocre performances, this is getting to that time where, people are saying Sam Bradford has to really go out there and prove himself. So what's he going to do at this point? Besides that, the secondary on that defense really didn't get improved that much. That defensive line is even better than it was just last year, and just last year it was scary enough. But, obviously pressuring the passer is going to have, a huge impact on making that secondary look a little bit better. But if you can't get that pressure on the opposing quarterback, you're going to have trouble with that weaker secondary. So that's a concern, without a doubt, for the Rams. Besides that, I think, you got guys like Austin. He's got to really step up. Tavon's got to get to the, he showed a lot of promise. He's a great kick returner as well, but he's got to use that speed and really just burn guys and give Sam Bradford that number one target. It'll also be interesting to see, what they can really do with a guy like Kenny Britt, for example. Somebody who kind of sort of had a little bit of promise, has never really fully achieved his potential. Is he going to be able to really rise up and become a number two wide receiver? Because for the St. Louis Rams, there's a huge need for that number two wide receiver. It's going to be very interesting. The things that will work out very well for the Rams, of course, that defensive line is going to be a huge part. Basically that's going to be important for keeping games close. Because Sam Bradford, Tavon Austin, Kenny Britt, Bailey as well, these are not people who are going to just light up the scoreboard. They have potential, but the odds are it's not going to happen. So this defense needs to keep it close, and that starts with that pressure. Pressure the quarterback, make them make some dumb throws. Then that weaker secondary is going to look a lot better. And once they start getting some good games under their belt, that confidence is really going to help out. So that's going to be a big key. If you can use that speed like we've seen on Tavon Austin, just give him the ball, let him do what he can. Really, there needs to be somebody else stepping up and getting into that number two wide receiver role for the St. Louis Rams as well. Bradford needs somebody else to throw to, and Bradford has to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy, even if he's having just a little bit better than a mediocre season. I think that the St. Louis Rams can compete. Now we got to remember that they are in the NFC West, and the NFC West is dominated by two powerhouses. St. Louis is going to have a really hard time against San Francisco and Seattle. Even with Arizona, that's going to be very difficult as well. The Arizona defense is fantastic. They can make life really hard for Sam Bradford and his offense. So that's going to be very important. Obviously, the run game was kind of a surprise to a lot of us last season, so if that can kind of continue and even grow a little bit more, also a huge impact, huge benefit. But talking about their schedule, obviously, all those division games, none of them are easy. They are all very difficult games. You do have a good start. You know, you get to play the Bucks, you get to play Dallas, you get to play the Minnesota Vikings as well. Those are games that you can really compete in and just get off to a good start, because that's going to be very important for the confidence of this team, especially with a lot of younger guys needing to step up and really fill in some roles. It's going to be important to win those games early on. Of course, when you're playing, Philadelphia Eagles, which I think we all are expecting to be a good team again, the 49ers, the Seahawks, you got a lot of these teams that are tough. If RG3 is back, that's going to be a very hard matchup later on in the year. Same thing with, a game like, the New York Giants. If they are coming back as well, that can potentially be a very difficult end of the season with the Cardinals, Washington, the Giants, the Seahawks as well. To end out your season, that potentially could be a very, very dangerous road for a team that at best is going to be competing for a wild card spot. Now, I talk about that, and personally, I don't necessarily see this team getting above 8 wins. They've got a lot of hard games on the schedule. They got some easier ones too. Obviously, you're going to be playing, the Vikings, which are kind of rebuilding. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting used to a new system. You get to play the Oakland Raiders. That's going to be a good matchup later on in the year too, which will be a little bit of a boost going into that difficult stretch. So there are some good games. There are some bad games. My range for the St. Louis Rams, probably from a 5-win team to an 8-win team. I don't see anything huge coming out of this, but this is a testing period for, a guy like Sam Bradford. You're getting used to a new head coach here. You're getting used to kind of just some new styles, I guess. You're going to have to figure out who is that number 2 weapon. Is Tavon Austin really going to be the number 1 weapon? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered by this team. I don't think it is a bad situation if they win 7 games. I don't think that's that's not a bad spot for the St. Louis Rams. You just don't want to get to the lower ends, because then you have to start answering some questions in the draft, such as Sam Bradford. He might not be your actual, future quarterback like you were hoping. Just getting those 7 wins with a team that is kind of young, a great defense, not so strong of an offense, you're in the right direction. And especially with a newer coach, you are in the right direction, and that's what you got to hope for the St. Louis Rams. Just keep building up. You got that defense, get that secondary even better, and improve that offense, and you will be competing with the great teams such as the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. I want to know what you guys think, though, so let me know down below. What do you think about the St. Louis Rams? Are they real competitors? Are they going to be a wild card team? Is Sam Bradford the answer? Who's the number 2 wide receiver for the Rams? Is that secondary going to be able to keep up, or is it going to be all on that defensive line? Let us know down below what you guys think, especially your predictions for their season. What's that record going to be? Also, get at us on Twitter, and then keep checking out these videos. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys very much. Ram fans, I want to hear from you down below.